Greetings, 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 everyone. This is the Mary Jane Maven, and thank you so much for joining us on this third episode. Can't believe it, third episode. That may not seem like a lot to anybody else, but that's a great deal. Yes, thank you. We are having a great response, and so I want to take a second to thank everyone for subscribing thus far, for viewing our first episode. The second episode is being released very shortly here, so everybody pay attention to your notifications because I know once you subscribed, you hit that bell as well. And if you didn't, then please go do so. But I'll get back into that in a minute. But this is the Menage with Mary Jane Maven podcast. So I want to go ahead and take some time to first give a shout out to my co-host, Vita. Giving You Life will be here in a bit. Sacramento traffic is bananas.
It's
so
crazy.
yeah. So of course we have our girl Lecieb.
Yep.
Yes. And we have a guest this evening, a young lady, another queen that I met through social media. So don't let anybody ever tell you can't find, quality relationships through social media, because you definitely can. And so this queen and I, Naomi, we met through social media. She was very supportive of a women's event that I hosted, showed up, didn't even know. And then come to find out, her and Miss Vita actually know each other.
Small world.
Right? Very small world. Very small.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, especially in Sacramento, especially in Sac. So, as I mentioned, this is Naomi, and she is the creator of Girl 24 here in Sacramento.
Thank you.
So, yes, we'll talk further about that. No, thank you so much. I will say it's been kind of a week where, I was focused, very excited about the last episode and whatnot, but had a lot going on, migraines and some other things, and like very last minute, I hit her up, and she was like, "I'm there." So that's what queens do.
Yes.
That's what queens do. So
There we go.
very special. Thank you. So we have a studio full of supporters this evening. My hubby's over here in the corner. We have your dude over here in the corner. We have the illustrious owners, of the of the network, of the Wild Jones podcast network, which once again, and I'm going to say this every episode, thank you for allowing me the platform to do what I love to do. So what I want to do is go ahead and start off, of course, with our sparks and salutations. This beautiful blunt has been sitting in front of me for about a good 20 minutes, and it's been very hard not to light this up. So just like every other episode, go ahead and grab your indica, your sativa, which is my favorite. Yes.
Girl.
Your hybrid, get your vape pen, your bong, whatever it is. Me, you, and whichever, you want to go ahead and gather and spark up to get started and get into the depths of our episode. So we're going to get started here. Actually, I'm going to let the guests, we'll let the guests go ahead and light that up. Yes. How rude of me. Come on, Tiffany, don't be rude. And I just slipped up and let you guys know my real name because I said I wasn't going to do that. But those of you that know me, you heard that. Other than that, MJ Maven. No, so I wanted to go ahead. And here you go. I guess I'm holding on to the flames, which doesn't help you light that. But during our spark and salutations, of course, I begin with our quote of the week. And this week's quote is from Michelle Shaper. And it is, "She unleashed her inner goddess and became the woman her soul knew she could be." I'll let that sink in because it's real deep. Now, every couple of weeks here, we're going to have what I call our WCW, which is going to be our Women's Cannablist Wednesday. A little play off of that WCW. Okay. So today we are kind of introducing what these episodes are going to entail. And this is definitely going to talk about how to elevate. Remember, as I said, each episode we're going to focus on educate, eradicate, and elevate. And this is definitely going to be a little bit of all three, but mostly focused on how women can elevate and get into our Ganja goddess sensuality and be able to tap into the strength that we were born with. Because, of course, we know we are we are the creators of it all. So we're going to talk about how that conjunction between cannabis and being a goddess, how that plays. So really quickly, tell us, Naomi, a little bit about yourself. What exactly, is your goal, your mission within cannabis? Explain exactly what your events are, what your organization is.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany, for
You.
inviting me here. But my name is Naomi, and I am the creative Girl 24. I started this basically wanting to provide a tribe for a tribe of women who pretty much, I never been the kind of woman who fit in anywhere.
That's it.
You know, I kind of was the odd one.
Okay.
But I always wanted to find my own tribe of women who pretty much smoke cannabis.
Can relate.
Women
Yes. Yes.
Who were sex positive, who pretty much just march to the beat of their own drum.
Yes.
And so that's where Girl 24 came in. And over the course of maybe the last 3 years, I've been able to present some events for women. I'm a bisexual woman, so I also did a lot of events for bisexual women in Sacramento.
Nice.
And I also do like secret sesh.
The snaps from the men in the room here. The snaps from the men. Love that.
I love owning my sexuality. It's a beautiful thing, especially as a woman. Our sexuality is so fluid. So
yes, and a woman of color.
Yes.
To be able to be proud of it, to own it, to be able to, live your truth and be transparent about it is super important. And it's not something, especially within the cultures of brown people, that's not something that you really are out there with, because of course, we don't want to get into it all, but our religion and all that comes into play, and and embarrassing grandma and great grandma and doing all that stuff.
Right.
So give you kudos there for being able to build a platform, something different within the industry, especially something that's unique here in Sacramento.
Yes.
So to kind of expand on that, do you feel that cannabis has played a huge role in helping you to feel that I'm not an oddball, but this is who I am, and there are other women that are out there just like me?
Oh, most definitely. Cannabis makes me feel free. Like I'm not so much in my head. Cannabis, I feel the most sexiest when I smoke cannabis.
Yes.
I'm a deep person. I'm a natural introvert.
Okay.
So cannabis helps me be more a social
That
butterfly.
outgoing
Exactly.
thing that you need,
Exactly.
yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly. So it helps in all avenues for me.
And that's great. And you are a mother as well.
Yes.
Yes. So
Super cool.
yes, so playing into, we all know we're all mothers here, so we know how cannabis definitely helps into being a mother.
Yes. Oh yes.
Now, I know that we have to be much different parents than what our parents, how they raised us, because of course this is a much different society.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
as far as your children, how old are they, and do they know how much about, you live a cannabis lifestyle?
Yes. I have my oldest daughter is 15, and I am transparent with her with cannabis because I don't want her to grow up with that negative outlook that I did when I was a kid. So I let her know more so how holistic and it was given to us for medical benefits, and so she's more educated and knowing about it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, being
Definitely
able
at that
to
age,
change.
too.
Especially with a young woman.
Yes.
It's what being able to be transparent in that. I feel with my children as well, very transparent. And I'm just gonna say I had to like this. It was sitting there, it was just like my mouth was watering. It was like, a Popeye's chicken sandwich was in front of me right now. Like I had to go for it. So
Can't resist.
I couldn't resist. But
right.
I'm just, let's work on our guests. You're a guest. Guests come to your
I
home,
just
you
start
do everything
diving
for
in
them.
and
So
just,
hey, that's okay. That's
Got
okay.
sideshows.
I love that. But so yeah, I think for young women, it's very important to be able to highlight that you're taking control of your emotional health, you're taking control of your sexual health, you're taking control of,
Mental
professionally, and being able to show them what it's like to live your truth and to live within your passion and your truth, and to not be ashamed of who you are, no matter what your sexuality is, whatever your religion is, whatever your beliefs are, so that's super important. And I know that even with my children, my oldest knows, he's 22. He thinks I'm the coolest thing ever. My 11 and 8-year-olds definitely understand. My 8-year-old, I definitely has the entrepreneur bug, has bitten him because of it. And like I've said before, he points to different billboards and says, "Mom, there's your company." And I'm like, no. I don't own that one. But, I will be on there one day. But I think, that makes me feel good in knowing that I don't have to hide that. And what examples that's giving them, so I think that's
crazy.
fantastic.
15-year-old, 22-year-old. You
Yes.
Don't look at it.
And then I have
Look
a
at
3-year-old,
Wow.
a little baby boy.
Oh,
And that's my
oh.
I
that's
have
my
a
prince.
5-year-old.
Give it to you
so
rambunctious,
it's
I bet.
hard. Mine's is. I only have one, and she's a handful.
She's a little
So-
diva. She's a little sassy. She's a little cutie pie.
She definitely is a diva for sure.
She is a cutie
But
pie.
it's hard though, like because me being a mom and like marijuana definitely helps me relax a lot more, especially dealing with my child. And I was single for a while, so being a single mom
Oh
and
yeah.
all of that
I
stressful
was it too.
stuff. And
Look,
Yes.
I can tell you, I watched all of that '70s show back in the day. After putting my baby to bed, I was a single mom, hitting my little one-hitter quitter. That's when I was getting real lit off a little bit. And I know that is what helped me to get over a, heartbreak with who was, my son's father. And to be able to kind of get myself back. During that time, I was doing a lot of kicking it, a lot of partying, had a lot of friends, and kind of got away from my true essence and who I actually was. And cannabis one day actually helped me on one of those nights, that I did a little bit too much. Woke up the next morning, looked in the mirror, and I remember thinking, who are you? Like, what? I didn't recognize myself. And it's very weird to have that experience where you don't feel like you recognize yourself. And it wasn't even just physical. I could look at myself and tell that just that shine and that excitement and who I wasn't there anymore. Yeah. And cannabis helped to bring that all the way back around. Back then, was definitely, I didn't realize the benefits that I was getting emotionally. Being able to help me to repair and get through any kind of trauma. I didn't realize the benefits of it. It definitely took years for me to be able to realize the benefits of it emotionally and, physically as well. So it's definitely something that has helped me through a time and helped me to identify who I am as a goddess. And I'm not saying that this is something that I knew at 21, 25, 30, and I'm going to go ahead and stop right at that age. But it definitely continues to help every single day. So before we kind of jump more into that, I definitely want to talk a little bit about, a little bit of what Mary Jane Maven says for this week. And that is just basically talking about a couple of things that I want you guys to know about, as a community here in Sacramento, what we need to be aware of, some things that are coming up. And then I want to kind of jump back into our quote and find out what that quote kind of means to both of you. So I'll kind of read it again and then you guys can have some time to think while I kind of talk about these couple of events. So once again, she unleashed her inner goddess and became the woman her soul knew she could be. So like I said, that's deep to me. It gives me chills. So I'm going to take a second to talk to do our little segment. Like I said, the Mary Jane Maven says. And I wanted to give a little shout out, and I wanted to tell you guys about a great opportunity for you to get involved and give back within the cannabis community somewhere that you can feel comfortable. And that is going to be a toy drive that is going to be coming up. That is held by our very own Wild Jones Podcast Network. So they are very involved in the community and making sure they give back, not just within the cannabis community, but in the Sacramento community. So this event is going to take place next month. It is on Sunday, December the 15th. Let me take a hit because I'm holding this like it's a microphone. This is a microphone. This shouldn't be. So it's going to be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Foothill Skate here in Sacramento. Of course, there is an opportunity for you to bring a new unwrapped gift, or if you could bring a $5 love donation, either one. But right? Got
Nice.
5 on it. I like that. I like that. I wish I had like a little board where I could hit something and be like, I got 5. We'll stop that right there. I don't want to have to owe anybody there. Like you loonies, don't come after me. So no, so we want you. Yeah, right. So we'll want you to come on out, have some food, some fun, and a good feelings, because you're going to be able to give back to something and give back to, some of our community that they're not able to provide even one new unwrapped toy. So if you can come and bring that to kids, love it. Kids love anything that they get. But most importantly, bring your kids out, come skate, come have a good time. It's, it's going to be a couple of hours in the afternoon of just really good fun. and what the holidays should be about, which is about, giving back the community,
Family.
feeling love. Yeah, thinking of others.
Yes.
Before you get out there and, fill your own card up for your kids and your grandkids, think about those that don't have that opportunity. So we just want to do that. And that's just the first of a couple of events. So they also are going to do a winter warm up, and that's going to be a blanket drive, which we know, I've talked about it before. We have 5,000 plus homeless people, unfortunately, in Sacramento. It gets cold, guys. We are definitely enjoying some beautiful weather right now. And I would love for it to continue until my birthday in March. But let's be realistic, it's not. Global warming. No, I'm kidding. So we, they have to have the opportunity to be able to supply a blanket to someone is one of the biggest things that you can do. A lot of times you see them asking for money, but what they really need are simple things that we take for granted. I moved recently and and I thought about it like just so easily we threw away stuff. Like we'll just replace it.
Yep.
And, felt kind of guilty about that after the fact. So that's things that we need to be aware and conscious of. And if we're not, then take advantage of these opportunities like the toy drive and the blanket drive. So that's just a little bit about what Mary Jane Maven says, and what I say is usually right. I'm just going to tell you. I'm an Aries. It's within us. I don't know. So, all right, ladies. So jumping back in today's topic, what I really want women to be able to identify with and the way that cannabis can elevate your life is really by tapping into your goddess sensuality. Okay, we know, like I said, we are the creators. There would be nothing. We wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the very strong womb of women. This plant, this beautiful plant that's bringing us all together, a female plant, kind of has to be, in my opinion. Some of the best and strongest strains, are coming from that are more sativa dominant, more the female plant, like I said. So what do you feel, and we'll have our guests go first, what do you feel about that quote, and what is your definition of that ganja, sensuality, and how to tap into it, or tell your personal experience about how you've tapped into it?
For me, it has always been dancing. Dancing is the divine feminine energy, and when we're moving our hips and when we're tapping into that source of just sensuality, we're doing something, we're manifesting something.
Yes.
So anytime I feel like crap or I just want to tap into that source. I love listening to like African music and Latin music and music that raw drum, type of music, and just going into the zone and just dance away. Whatever the problem is, whatever situation that's going on at that moment, I am that goddess, and I know I can do anything.
Yes.
So,
And that definitely ties into what I want to talk about. We will be talking about music, any type of art that you use to create. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so that's very telling because for me, when times that I'm alone, if I do happen to go ahead and smoke by myself, most times I don't, smoke with a hubby. But if I do happen to have a sesh by myself, you definitely get into that mode. And that kind of reminds me of about a month ago, I was listening to Sade.
I
Love Deluxe.
Sade. Oh, yes.
That album. And it took me back 15, 20 years to when I first heard it and where I was at then and what it meant to me then and what it meant to me today. You want to pass that over? Hey, thank you. We got the rotation going on here. And, what it means to me today. So,
Is your turn?
Oh,
yeah. So, it was very spiritual. It was I don't want to kind of a journey that I kind of had by myself. I mean, I was just washing dishes, I got cleaned that house that day. Let me tell you, it was some good energetic sativa I had. But it really, at one point, I remember just kind of crying, but then that crying turned into smiling and laughing because the growth and just the change from what the music meant 20 years ago to what it meant to me today. And the fact that I was able to identify that, it was empowering to me, to say so.
Yes.
It is very much the same, but what does it mean to you?
the quote. let's run the quote back. I just want
Yeah.
to hear it.
Either that or just kind of your definition of what, goddess sensuality and kind of tapping into that.
Well, tapping into the goddess sensuality for me, at least personally, is just like kind of just realigning myself, making sure that I'm, relaxed, making sure my mind's a little more organized because it's a mess 90% of the time.
Right.
Being a mom,
Right.
making all the things you have to do. So just to tap into that goddess energy is me kind of just solo sesh, smoking a blunt,
Yeah.
putting on some music. Because when I'm stressed, I listen to music. I'll smoke by myself. I'll sing.
Yeah.
Dancing's you, me. That's singing for me. Like I'll just play some songs and I could just sing and clean and wash dishes. But it's just more like smoking, my goddess level, just leaving me to organize me, myself, and my thoughts, and to just have my alone time, work on my business plans, make sure my vision's right, and the next time, I present myself and things, just make sure it's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
sorry. I'm
Yes.
texting Beatty here. She's on her way. Talking about she's in traffic. So I'm like, come on, girl. Come on. So, anywho, yeah, I can definitely relate to both of those, aspects and what you do. And I think we all kind of have the same definition and what it does for us overall. So for me, it really means and it allows for women to really tap into our inner strength, our purposeful strength. So it is super important to me to be able to get that message out, and that's part of the reason why I want to have these Wednesdays, why I want to have these special episodes, or just why I want to have the conversation. And I want to have it where it's just completely transparent and honest. That's the only way to have them. And I want, on this episode, I would love for, women, even men, if you want to be able to kind of comment on what your definition is, I would love for you to be able to do that, because that's going to be something else we can talk about in the future. And that, that's, like I said, we need to start that education to be able to educate, eradicate, and elevate.
Right.
So, for me, there's definitely been times in my life I'm very secure. I've been with my husband for 18, almost 19 years.
He's like, you better get them years right, girl.
14
Beautiful.
years married.
Beautiful.
And
Yes.
thank you, my best friend. I call him
It's a
my truth
beautiful thing.
very much.
Yes.
And there's times when there's really no reason for me to be in my feelings, or, to not feel attractive, or to not feel my inner strength, or to not, be resolute in who I am and what I bring to a relationship or anything else. And cannabis helps me to realign and to get back in that, because I don't feel like it's
Yes.
fully his job to be able to do that, because he does, tell me that I'm beautiful and whatnot. But it's also something that you got to do within yourself.
Exactly.
And
Self-esteem.
cannabis,
Make
yeah,
sure yourself is,
self-esteem,
you know.
accountability,
Mhm.
being able to have that conversation with yourself, and in that conversation come out with, all right, girl, well,
I am that bitch.
this is what it is. Yeah.
Right,
Or I'm
right.
tripping, and you know what,
Exactly,
this blunt right here, this joint or whatever, this dab hit, whatever,
Right.
help me to be able to get to where I need to be
Brings
as
you
far
back
as
to
on
the
that
goddess
level.
level,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Right.
Be able to speak with that inner goddess. So that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. I think that, the idea is so many different definitions, but it all comes together, in one fluid and consistent definition and expectation. I think that it's beautiful that it is bringing people together from all walks of life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes.
Like you said, with sexuality and just who we are being so fluid, that definitely comes into it. That's definitely brand new to some people, as far as having a sexuality that doesn't confine to the norms, or not defined by the norms. So it's definitely something that people are learning about. But the fact that
Yes.
having cannabis to be able to kind of bridge those gaps
Yes.
and start those conversations are super important as well.
Yes.
So being that is, your mission and kind of, what you post events for, what have you seen as far as like the events that you have and the people that are attending? Do you see that as well, that cannabis is
Diversity,
providing
for
that
sure.
that kind of key to the lock to be able to?
Yes. Like one of my sesh, I had a lady. She was a bedroom candy consultant,
Okay.
and so I invited her out to the sesh too, and we were talking about just self pleasure and being able to take that as self care and being able to we don't realize that even just with cannabis, that's a part of my self care. Everything is
sure.
is a part
1000%.
of being
Yes.
able to be the best version of myself.
Yes.
And so we're able to open up, and women, of course, after you smoke, especially with sativa, the conversations begin to open up and be fluid, and people are start asking questions about their own sexual life, and she was able to answer questions, and we just it was just like having a slumber party, a girl
That's
slumber party
fantastic.
with cannabis.
That's awesome. And just being able to have a platform where, there's no falsehoods being, or any, smoke screens being put up because of cameras or because there's somebody in the room that might judge you. And cannabis, of course, allows for you to get rid of all those thoughts that will, close you off to normally letting your emotions be out and be vulnerable. That's what cannabis allows you to do, to be vulnerable, but
to be okay with it.
yes,
at the same time.
yes, and to do it in a level that you're comfortable. Exactly.
And you're
1000%.
open-minded to other people's ideals.
That's what I love about
like you're less
cannabis so much, too.
judgmental.
It brings so many people together. Like I've had everybody has in common that they smoke. So you just be like,
and
different walks of
instantly you
people.
become friends.
Exactly.
As soon as you find out someone smokes, like,
It's
oh,
like,
okay,
hey, you're cool.
you're
Yes.
cool. Exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of an immediate trust that is developed. And I'm not saying that trust where you're just like, hey, I'll leave my kids with you and stuff. But it's a little where like, you know what, I can be
more
cool with you.
lax.
I mean,
Exactly.
especially in today's world, there's so many people that are talking out of the side of their neck and they feel completely emboldened to do so. So you don't know. And I'm a type of person where I say hi to everybody. I meet people, if they're cool, I'm a hugger. Like, I will meet you, we'll talk for a little bit, and then when I say goodbye, I hug you. Like, I'm that person. I should have a T-shirt that says, I'm a hugger. Like, I am that person.
I am too. I love giving people hugs.
Yes, and I feel like that's something that is missing, just people being able to
openly welcome.
yes, and just immediately respect someone. But, of course, respect is given, when it's due and vice versa. And there's a lot of people, like I said, that talk out of the side of their neck that don't really present themselves with giving immediate respect. But if everybody, I think that when you're in an environment, you're in a party, a sesh, an expo, anything, and it's cannabis related, you don't see anybody walking in eyeing anybody.
Exactly. I think that's why sessions are so unique in their own way, because there's a lot of people that do
problems.
Sessions, but everybody does it differently. But everybody that goes, you all have like that certain sense of that community.
Yeah,
community.
You know what I mean? It's
I like
we're
that.
all going for the same medications. We're all trying to do the same thing.
and just be lit. Like, let's be honest. Everybody in there is eating. Everybody had their drink. Everybody has taken a dab. Everybody's smoking in there. Like, they're getting the munchies.
And there's always going to be good food because,
they 3 or 4 and they're not even infused. They could just be like legit. We got some barbecue on deck, some barbecue plates. We got some spaghetti, like whatever it is. So it's doing more than providing that opportunity for people and to get their medicine where it's affordable.
Legal consumption places need to definitely be on the table as far as talks, because I feel like the community really needs somebody to kind of congregate and go and where everybody can
Well, what I love about it is we went to one recently. I won't say too much, but it is a members only. If you're in Sacramento, you probably know what I'm talking about. And they had 1,800 people. 1,800 people come through in one night. No problems. No reports of any problems. No cops being called. Nothing like that.
Well, they run a good ship. They run a tight ship. They run it good.
That's an example that it can happen, and that it should happen, and that it will continue to happen. And why? Cannabis. That good sativa. Yes. So I just got a text message. Can you go let Vita in, please? Miss Vita is here. She is here. She is here. So she's gonna, joining us at a good time. So we are going to kind of get her input, because I know this was actually one of her favorite topics to begin to talk about. So we're going to let her get a little bit of insight. She is our medical savant in the group. So she
She
always
hits
likes
with
to
the
come through. Yeah,
facts.
she always likes to come through with a little facts, actual
Mhm.
factual. So it's going to be very interesting in a few weeks. We're going to be talking about yoni steams, taking care of, our reproductive area because that
Mhm.
is the start of everything and how cannabis can help within that. I know I'm being laughed at over here. It's leading in everything. Then we're going to talk about, the lubes and all the other good stuff. So I'm working my way
These
down.
lubes is gonna
We're
be
starting with the soul.
killing.
We're getting down to the yoni area, and then we're gonna venture into the good stuff. So hey, it's how my brain works. So because that's where it all starts. Let's a woman's pleasure starts here, coming on down. If you didn't know, there's your education for the episode, guys. In case you
Anybody
didn't
else
know,
want this?
Mary J. Maven says,
Hey,
"Hey,
hey.
You want
here's
this?
Miss
V
Vita
has
giving us life here."
Hey, hey.
Coming on in. It's okay. We're explaining. Everybody knows it's in Sacramento. The weather is beautiful, as I said, but the traffic is something ridiculous. Gnarly, very gnarly. I tap into my
It
Elk Grove
is.
roots here.
Hi.
So, yes, I mean, we were just talking about, our definition of being a ganja goddess and tapping into that sensuality of your goddess sensuality and using cannabis to do so. So, we were waiting, just talking about how you come in with the facts, come in from the medical aspect, but you also have your own definition, of course. So, want to welcome you. How's your day been?
Oh my God, my day is crazy. Patients are sick and just in extra need, so it just drug me
Yeah,
out there. Like
that
they
time of year,
dragged my ass today. They drugged me, girl.
they did it. They did that.
They did that, but hopefully they'll get better. So
Yes, yes. Well, we might. I need to break out my vape pen for you then.
ooh, please
Yes,
do.
that Dom pen
Where's that at?
cartridge. Yes,
Writing it
yes. Let me go ahead and
down.
I'll break that out. Really quickly, hun, won't you, tell us a little bit about, we want you in on this convo where we are, where we just
Yeah, I
kind of
know. I was
each
like, I
define.
can't miss it. This is the one I wanted.
I know, but it's the beginning. I was just
Gotcha.
being laughed at here
Right,
by
right.
our producer and engineer over here who's laughing at me because I said we're going to talk about the yoni steams, and I know that's when you're going to be here and make sure because she has some very strong feelings and questions and things
Okay.
about
I
that
just have a
episode.
lot
So
Okay.
of questions. Like, I hear a lot about this, but no one really tells me what it means other than maybe ritual. It seems ritualistic, but I can't get like the health part or,
yes,
the science.
she just challenged me, and I'm like, girl, Google it. And she's like, I have, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So we are going to have guests that are going to talk about that. And then, so like I said, I was saying that we're starting here. We're moving down to the yoni, and then we're moving down to all the fun stuff with the lubes and and everything else.
Fun.
WCWs, Women's Cannabis Wednesdays are going to be litty.
Exactly.
Yes. So, what does it mean to you, or how do you use cannabis? Or how do you think women should use cannabis to tap into that goddess sensuality?
Well, I think when you're high, when you're lit, you have more self introspective, right? So you can kind of turn within and ask yourself some questions that maybe just in your fast-paced life or when you're, not really so elevated, you don't want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that like when I blaze, I'm more truthful with myself about myself and what I want. So I think it helps you to be more honest about what is your sexuality, sensuality, what do you want,
Mm-hmm.
and being more truthful with yourself about that because often we're very repressed about what our desires are. So I feel like cannabis helps us
Bring
to
it out
See, look
to
at
the
break
that.
out.
Talking
right.
about yes, yes.
Break out.
I love how you said. I love that song. I love that song. Yes, but I love what you said. Exactly, repress our feelings, and it's by either upbringing,
Right.
society, combination of all of them. Not wanting to hurt your significant other, your partner's feelings.
How we feel about our bodies.
Exactly, how you feel
Right.
about your body. So we deal with a lot, and that inner conversation that goes on. And nobody's saying that it's something that should happen. Nobody's saying that you're wrong for it. We can't help it. That's who we are as women. But being able to, like I was saying earlier, tap into an inner conversation that you can have with yourself where the accountability for how you feel and why you feel that way helps. Nobody's saying it has to be like you're never going to look in the mirror and think that you have a fupa,
Right.
you know,
Ooh,
or
let's
you
not
know,
talk about that.
right, right. Especially if you've had kids, you
Yeah.
can. I can clearly remember how perky some things used to be,
I
and where they
did.
used to sit, and it's like, oh, good lord, making sure that my children have the best nutrients by
Or even the
breastfeeding.
lack of
Whew.
desire.
Yes.
Sometimes desire wanes, right?
And
I
it's so
mean,
many things that affect it for
mhm.
us. It can affect men as well, stress,
Sure.
but less. They're mentally they could be stressed and things going on, but they forget about it for that amount of
Look,
time.
their stress goes up, and then the goes with it.
Right.
So for us, the stress goes up, and it's like the drive goes
Yes,
down,
just
right?
yep,
So,
everything. Yeah, then
so
that's-
helping with stress management,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that you can have increased desire because you're better managing the stresses in your life.
yes. I mean, a happy woman, is just that. She can do a whole
Happy
lot
wife,
for you.
happy life.
Yeah, a whole lot for you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's you being happy within yourself, as well as your spouse and just everything else in your life.
As long as it
So
keeps me
cannabis
high,
definitely helps
happy,
with that.
healthy, I'm good.
Yeah, right, right. That's not a bad thing. Who's gonna say no to that? Who's gonna say no to making your life easier? I don't know. If you do, you crazy. So, but thank you so much for being able to come in and kind of give your insight on that. We're gonna be talking about it much more,
Okay.
but I really want to. It's itching because I just learned about it before we went on air or started taping tonight. Is this TI kind of situation?
Ooh, what?
So,
What's going on? I missed that.
um,
About it slightly earlier.
yeah. So So I'm gonna talk a little. We're gonna leave that for like the
Pop
second.
topic?
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
pop in the can of combos. We are gonna get into that. First, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about how last week it came out that the big cannabis companies are starting to ask for stricter regulations as far as vapes and vape ingredients and what's going on in there. I immediately felt some kind of way because I think it's the larger cannabis companies that have the money. It's their way of
Yes.
edging out some of these smaller companies or being able
It
to take
is.
over more companies
Yes.
because they're going to have the money
Right.
to be able to handle or oblige or comply with these situations. Um, so it's something that I'm just like,
Well, there's a lot of
where's it
regulations that get added in, and they're often very divisive. So, like the new one about if you get a DUI for blazing in a car, everybody in the car gets a DUI.
oh,
Okay, that's news too. I didn't
Right.
know
So
that.
this is just a way to
Yeah.
hand out more violations.
Oh, of course.
Right? To
Of
pull
course.
more people into the system using cannabis.
Yeah.
So we just have to be
Sneaky
real
things, the
mindful
government.
that as things become legal, it's actually more problematic often.
Yeah.
You know? So we have to protect ourselves.
well, that's just scary. I mean,
Yes.
what do you think about that? I mean, as somebody that's in the industry, and I don't know if you have companies and things like that, or that bring vapes, or educate about their vapes, or if you're a user. How do you feel? Because I strongly believe that is the only reason why that is happening.
No, I feel that very same way. I feel in the same way that you feel. Since it's become legal, it just given the bigger corporations an opportunity to make a lot of money, and they're going to use any opportunity to try to phase out the mom paws and the people who really care about the plant. So
there you go.
so it's just their way of making it like a big farm for them.
Exactly.
cannabis.
And what I find funny is that a lot of these companies are Canadian companies, or they come in and purchase some of the others, or merge with them, or whatever they want to say, or they're under our umbrella. Basically, now you're owning them. So when it became just completely recreational, all the way, or legal, there, all of a sudden you started seeing companies being snatched up real quick.
Right.
And it just like when the regulations changed, July 1st of last year now. It's been a year, yeah, over a year. You start to see companies think you were going to dispensaries, and those companies that you didn't even know maybe were mom and pop. You couldn't find their products anymore with no
Yes.
explanation.
Yes.
So I definitely think that is a hindrance. I see if they're doing it for the true health benefits and to make sure that, this epidemic doesn't spread. I think that they're in a way admitting to saying that some cannabis products could have been looped into that whole vaporizer, respiratory illness. When I don't think that's the case, I definitely think we know it's from, more of the tobacco-based products. But in a way, that's allowing people to keep that rhetoric going and that blanketed, statement that it's all vaporizer
Well,
products and all vaporizer,
Did they ever say like what companies and what vapes those were? Those people
No.
were using. So chances are it was bootleg. It was something from off the street. And just like what you saw in was it Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, where people were dying from the bootleg alcohol that was getting snuck into their mini bars, right? So it's like that.
Oh, that's what was happening.
Yeah, so it was bootleg stuff labeled like real stuff, right? And then it was not proper. I think ethylene glycol or something. Don't quote me on the product.
That's crazy.
What was wrong, but if you distill alcohol in the wrong way, you'll make poison, and that's what they did, and that's what happened to those people. So that's probably what happened with these vapes.
Yeah,
These were-
yeah. That is crazy. I heard about the story. You heard about the 7, 9, maybe 12 people, some number like that, where
Wow.
those people died. They were all on vacation. But there was no connection. It's not like they were from all different walks of life, and these people were just hanging out, kicking it, and falling and being found in their rooms, and things like that. And that makes sense
Wow,
because
yeah.
you're drinking, probably drinking out of that little mini bar.
Yeah,
You
and then
know?
the same thing with the vape. If someone is making distillate improper, they don't know what they're doing.
Mhm. Right.
It's adulterated. There's impurities.
Mhm.
And a person, like you said, may already have some respiratory issues plus tobacco.
Yes, yeah.
And it just pushes them over the edge.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think any legitimate product
No.
would cause a
What's
problem
caused that?
like
Yeah. And of course, they want to keep that rhetoric going because, in January of next year, or January 2020, we're not able to get, I just read this yesterday, menthol cigarettes, they're not allowed to be sold in California anymore.
Oh, well, that's a plus.
What are people that smoke Newports going to do? I see a boyfriend over there
right.
like, oh my, y'all want
no, no.
look, they are trying to put us back in there because they know black folks is about to go bananas, brown people over not being able to get their
What? Come
Newports.
on, black people, just leave it alone
Come on, girl.
already. That's what I say.
Those potes sometimes, though, that menthol's real good sometimes when you drink it and all that good stuff. All flavored, yes.
All that tobacco.
Yeah. Everything, my shows that we use. So the guy told me yesterday he thinks that the high hemps are good because they CBD infused, but everything else. And I'm like, what? I guess this is a way for us to stop, smoking 5 for $1 packs of blunts. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's a way for them to kind of, get that moving and to, everybody's pocket is lined and everybody's palms have been tickled. So I think it's a way for them to, to comply with those deals.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but that'll be a whole nother episode. We'll have our, our politic episode. But so this second thing that I want to talk about, this is something that, so T.I. was on a podcast, and not his own podcast, but another podcast, where this grown man decided to share all of his family's black ass business, and specifically his daughters, where he mentioned that he goes to her gynecologist appointments with her. And there's some kind of contract or something that goes on where basically he knows that she is still a virgin. And that's because the medical staff or the doctor has to tell him and gives him a progress report on her virginity and her business. And
I think that's
yeah,
an invasion of privacy, and also isn't his daughter like 18 though?
I believe she is under 18.
She's under.
Yes,
Wait,
yeah.
wait,
So
wait. let
until
me
that
get this
age,
right.
But it's still
She's
weird
checking
either
into the
way.
doctor.
Yeah,
he's
for
going
him
with
to see if she's a virgin. And
it's like
like
this is
her
their
and like her
gynecologist
appointments and
visits,
whatnot.
right?
Yeah,
attending her gynecologist.
yeah.
Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Like right.
Because
Really
I
is.
went to
Weird. I
Catholic
wouldn't
school.
want my dad coming. Like,
Right.
And
Right.
they may not have gave up the kitty cat, but they did everything.
Right?
else,
Oh,
okay?
girl, please.
Including the back door.
Man, let me
So
tell.
You're not really
Yeah.
necessarily a virgin because you haven't had vaginal
Vaginals.
sex.
Yes.
Okay. You can
Yes.
still be quite experienced.
We
That's
just had a guest
sexual
that
body.
don't come in and he's like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Right. So shame on that. What's this? Tame. Why don't you just talk to your daughter and talk to her and educate her and
Right.
and give
be
her
okay
the
with
leg
her
up.
decisions, first of all. Like, what if he's, like his
Try to guide those decisions a little
Well,
better.
what I said is that, any guy that has a daughter, all you have to do is let her know that she is the most beautiful, the most intelligent, the most
Right.
talented,
Yes.
the biggest gift to the world and to your world. Like, you have that relationship with her. No dude can get in her head.
Right.
Some dude could tell her, "Oh, I love you and you're pretty." She's gonna be like, "I know, my daddy
Yeah,
tells me,
right.
and I know that I'm loved."
Right.
You know,
And
so
he'll kill you. So.
yes, so you can do what he's trying to do, and I get the overall aspect. You can do that though without one being that intrusive. I went to my gynecologist appointments with my friends.
Right.
I don't think I ever went to one with my mother.
Right.
And it was, and not that I definitely would have, but you talk about it with your friends, especially at that age. Your friends are the ones that are like, "Girl, it's time for you to go,"
Right.
or whatever. That's just what you feel comfortable. There's no way that I would have been good with my dad, all 6'6", very intimidating inches of him, that deep voice, and that just no,
It's creepy.
no,
That is.
that and
Yeah.
just like I said, the way that you can go about it and building that relationship and then letting her know and building up that self-esteem.
Yeah,
There's so many other
exactly.
ways you can do
And
that.
let me just say this real quick. I don't like fathers being obsessed with their daughter's virginity, like the whole purity ring. I'm not putting anybody down. Everybody does what they want, but I don't like it. It's like, why are you so interested to that level
Mhm.
of your daughter's sexual,
Privacy
awakening or
part.
whatever?
Yes.
Right, right.
Back in the day, there was rap that said, "Is daddy sweet on his little girl?"
Yes.
And it's like, yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right?
So why would you even want to put yourself in a position to look that way?
To just-
Because you're looking that way.
I mean, can you imagine
Right.
T.I. in your gynecologist appointments using big words that don't,
Right,
really?
sounds like the jailhouse intellect.
Right, like he
I
just
can't.
got out. Like he was on the last word in Z's, and he is going to use at least 18 of those in this appointment.
Right.
Like either that or I just be imagining him singing a song. Like I'd be hearing "Get Loose" in the back of my head, like which is my favorite T.I. song, by the way. But
I like T.I. the Entertainer, but this is sounding like the man could use a little psych help.
I mean, and I would just think that I would assume this is Tiny's daughter, right? I mean, my assumption
She
could be
has
wrong.
an
We
older
know
daughter.
Ti,
I don't know
so
if he's the actual
I
father.
know he
This
has the
isn't-
older. She has the older one, the one that
Right.
she went and got the eyes with.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't her.
No, I don't
No.
believe because she's grown. She's
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, this is with her because
Yeah,
I
so
believe he only has
What?
children
What?
with
What?
her.
What? Why aren't you going? Like what? What?
Where's the mom?
Where's the
That's what I'm
mom?
saying. Like, what is
Right,
Tiny
right.
doing
Like,
on her
Right.
tour with Escape?
Right.
Going and getting her eye color changed. It's like clearly there's a lot of weirdness going on
Right.
in this family.
Right.
You know?
Doing another. I'm not gonna say that because some people might love Escape. I don't think it was necessary to do a whole reunion and whatnot. But hey,
They just seem to be all about extremes, you know.
I mean, you got to stay relevant. I mean, I will
was
give
gonna
it to
say
him.
that
His new
right now.
podcast isn't bad. His podcast, other than the fact, like I said, you're about to hear him use words and huge words and say them extremely slow. It's good. It's a decent podcast. Everybody is a creator, and hey, so am I. So I can't get on it, but he has a platform. People listen to him.
Well, let me ask Nye this. What do you think about like men as far as a woman's sensuality and her body? Like I kind of feel like what's going on with us is so very different. I really like men to butt out, honestly. So that's my opinion. So what do you think about him?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that too. And
What do you think about just that general subject of like men, you know what I mean, in women's body business,
They don't have any position. They don't have any position in that. Even
They're being
back
willing
in the
participants
days,
when you want them to be.
women went into camps and they were doing things and rituals to strengthen each other. They were taking back their own sexuality, their own sensuality, and I feel that that's kind of like what's going on right now. There's an awakening, and so more women are just wanting wanting that right back. We want to take that back
Yes.
from the men who feel that they had the right to
Control.
to
it.
control.
it in the first
Yeah.
place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's of course, we're not bashing any
not
men
at
here.
all. We
And
love
it's not
men.
blanketed. Yeah, it's not saying that all men, because there are definitely some that appreciate that, understand that,
Yes.
whether they even know it or not, that they're willing participants in that, and being respectful of that. But just like I said, getting that message out there. If the conversations aren't had, there can't be any resolve to it.
Right.
But they need to be had in a manner where I think cannabis should be involved, but that makes everybody comfortable. And, you
Yes.
let me forget to get the pen for you, so let me grab it.
Thank you.
It's like,
Yeah, no, that is very disturbing. I don't like that.
I mean, I just wonder if he was like, you know what, I haven't been trending on Twitter or anything else in a while,
Well,
so
also
I'm going to get on this
technically,
podcast and tell this information.
The hymen dissipates after a certain age, and then it starts. You can tear it just swimming, horseback activity, right? So it's really hard after a certain age to gauge if someone is a virgin physically. So the fact that he's subjecting the person or the daughter to these exams can be humiliating.
Yeah, I would think
Right.
so.
So
I would
true,
think so.
yeah.
And I think I just, as a daughter, with relationships with fathers, you can build resentment that you don't even realize is there for years later. And that's just because of a damage to the communication or into the relationship or to how your daughter or a woman, a young woman, identifies how you as a father feel about her. And I think that could definitely bring about a conversation within her. Like, well, does he not trust me? What does he think? Like that.
Yes.
We think very differently, in our teen years, especially
Is this
as
how
young
he
women. So
values, if this is a value to him, it's just would just place me in uncomfortable relationship with my father.
yes,
you know,
yeah,
just
yeah,
very
most definitely. I
uncomfortable.
mean, she's gonna be ready to go to college, and I say when you do a whole lot when they're in your house,
They're
they
gonna
get
wild
out to
when they go.
man.
Like, come on.
Yes.
I'm not saying that she could,
Physically.
she could be the exact opposite, but as a teenager, just the way that, as your brain
When
develops
you're
and the way that
sheltered
you
for
think,
so much, it's like
yes,
when
you-
you're introduced to
yeah.
something else, like you're just gonna go all for
Yeah.
it. So just
yeah, and she's going to have everybody's eyes on her as well. So, stuff's going to be all in the media. And I just hope,
Yes.
I hope not. I hope that somebody has a talk with him, some auntie or somebody, some grandma or somebody that
Sits
can
him
get
down
some
and
Like, just
tells
Yes,
him,
yeah, right. Somebody, Candy's mama, somebody to, Tiny's mama, whoever, somebody. Oh, Candy's mama will be all up in that. But yeah, so
But once back to what you said, a lot of stuff these days is just hype.
true.
Say the
True.
most craziest
I feel
thing
that
you
way
can.
too. It's all to be irrelevant, like you were
Yep.
saying. It's
the
to
cloud, all of
stay
that.
in the know, and it's the crazier, the wilder it is.
Yeah,
People are going to be talking
better.
about
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
I mean, I see our local
the-
community kind of leaning towards that way in a way.
yeah.
I think Sacramento's still small enough, and we still have, a community that's unified enough. Not it's not always 100% unified, but unified enough where, it hasn't gotten to that standard yet, where people are doing outrageous things, maybe some shady business things, but not outlandish things so much to be able to
Right.
get that attention.
Right.
And definitely hope that we can continue that, but with growth,
Yes,
with good growth,
Yes.
but be able to keep it pure.
You can
you know,
still
so-
be authentic and be relevant. So
'Cause I think that's the
1000%.
best way to stay relevant. Is to just stay authentic, stay
Mhm.
yourself.
right.
That way,
Right.
you know that it's you. You're not trying
Yeah.
to be somebody
Yes.
you're not trying to be.
Because once everyone gets done with the hype and the frauds, they start looking for what's real.
What's real?
Start
Yes.
pulling off
Mhm.
your faces that you're trying to put on all
Right,
the time.
yes.
And
Yes.
that's why,
stay
like,
real
that
in the
farm
first
to
place.
spark is so important to me because it's what's real. It's
Mhm.
protecting the product, protecting the plant from the grower to the market.
Yep.
very few hands exchanging, then we know you're not getting all crazy.
And yeah, we were saying so. That Sacramento should be known as, and we've kind of started that. That's
the
one of our
city
things.
of trees,
Farm,
the
yeah,
city
farm to
capital,
spark.
Farm
Yeah,
to spark.
we
We
coined
were
that, so
farm
that's
to
our
fork,
thing
and
here.
now we're
Nice.
farm
Yeah,
to
farm to
spark.
spark. We are the city of trees.
Farm
Right.
to spark.
We do have
Yes.
some very talented people
Yes.
within Sacramento and the surrounding areas that are going to make a way within
And
the
we'll be
industry.
introducing you to them as
Yes,
time
yes.
goes on.
I'm
Yes.
trying to get them
We're
all.
bringing them
We're
on.
lined
We're
up with
bringing them
guests.
on.
Yes, we
Everybody.
are. We are. So I wanted to really quickly take some time and allow everybody to, especially our guest, to talk about anything that she has coming up, any events, anything you wanted to share about your organization or your group, your meetups, whatever you wanted to share. This is your time.
I
Show
don't have
spotlight.
any events yet.
Okay.
I've been down. I had a little injury that happened to me last month, so
I'm
I kind
sorry.
of was. So this is actually you. I just started creating more content around my Instagram, Girl24. I love just creating content to inspire and get conversations going. But I will have a secret Facebook group. So we can continue conversations off of Instagram and just being able to open the dialogue around sexuality and cannabis.
I love it. And I will say her feed, her Instagram, that Instagram is very
It's
well
dope.
curated.
Thank you,
It
thank
is. She
you,
does put out
thank
good
you.
information. So that's definitely something. If you guys are not following, please go and do so.
Please, yes. I'm
Yes.
going to be doing a giveaway pretty soon. I'm actually wearing one of my shirts from my online
Nice.
shop, girl24.com. It's my Buzz tank.
Okay, it's cute, y'all. It's cute. It's cute.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
so
like
I make designs. I do a lot of creative things.
Okay.
We're-
Well, if anybody's
Yes.
looking, right? So yeah, if
And
anybody's
we're
looking
gonna
for
wanna
anything,
have you come work with our events,
Yes.
and we still got to
Come
do
as
that
a
goddess
cannabis.
photo
Yes,
shoot.
yes. I'm ready.
I'm ready to be Oshun.
yes, I definitely want you to be part. Like I said, we met through social media and immediately knew through back and forth through some conversations that collaboration is definitely in our future, and it was meant for
Yes.
us to meet to be able to do that. So
Yes.
I'm going to be bringing together our creative energy, our creative juices. So I love that. What about you, ma'am? What you got going on, Lacey?
Lacey and Blaze. So let me just say first that I like when networking collaborations come like full circle, because I think you and I have like a mutual friend, and I was supposed to meet you like a while back because I do events too. So to meet you now and to be on this podcast is like
Wow.
super dope. So it's really good to meet
Yes.
you. I love what you do.
Thank you.
I
That's
follow you on
awesome.
Instagram too. So yeah, you're it's dope.
I seen. Yes, I noticed your Instagram too, the Blaze. I was. It's so inspiring to see so many women here in our own hometown.
Yes.
With the same inspiration, just all around cannabis, and I'm just so excited to.
Right?
I love that. And that plays to what you said, finding your tribe. And whether you see this person, this person, actually seeing them personally, you still feel a part of something that's much
Yes.
larger. And so I think,
'Cause
that.
I know her.
Yes,
Yes.
we shared that story. We
Y'all
shared that
did
story.
together?
But yeah, like
Yeah.
how I was
Yes.
surprised that I had no
Yeah.
idea. We met on Instagram. She came to my event and
See,
you
isn't
knew
it,
her
like,
as soon as she
super
walked
dope
in.
How we're all just like
The universe,
You know?
yes, it's
Exactly.
it's magical.
She's
And we
powerful.
kinda just
She
lost
knows what
touch
she's doing.
just by way of being women involved in 1,000 things. But like I always could still feel you out there. You know what I mean? Like I was still like, oh, she's still in my heart. I know I'm gonna see her one day, girl. Where you at?
That's that goddess
Yes.
power. That's that goddess
Yes.
connection.
Yes.
That no matter, I know many women that are, going to be watching or listening, you can relate to not seeing somebody for some time. You see them and you're like,
just pick right
it
back
was
up.
like, yeah,
Like,
you pick her
Yes.
right back up.
Right
Um,
That's
So-
I'm such a low maintenance friend. Like if I don't talk to you for a while, a couple weeks, a month, couple months go by. If you talk to me again and we go out to lunch again, it's like never.
Yeah.
It's,
You know, we
like
just
we
pick right
never
back up.
left.
Yes.
Like we never
Yes.
left.
And I think
Yes.
once you understand that, like, life just happens, the days pass by, everybody's, there's only so many hours in a day, but you still have that connection and it's genuine,
Exactly.
then that's good. I've seen
Yes.
people recently, remember we were at a revival or the Sawyer, and I saw the girl from that I known from 5th grade.
And and we ended up kicking at the pool with her and the dude the next day when you guys left.
Oh my God, see how that is? Yeah. It was a neighbor of mine
Or
that I know
the
since 5th
whiskey
grade.
chick,
Or
you knew
exactly,
her,
yeah, just
see?
running into people and picking up kind of where you left off. or just being grown now and just being able to tell, like the girl that we saw, I was able to tell her, like, we were so jealous of you in 6th grade, you know? And that's definitely not something that I would have told her in high school,
Right,
you know,
right.
probably in my early 20s. But, like, legit, like, she was a beautiful white girl who had a fat, big behind. I mean, it's crazy, like crazy. And we told her that, and she was like, oh my God, everybody always tells me that. I'm like, you act like you don't know. But that's not anything I would have told her before because of whatever insecurity or whatever I had going on for that age, which was appropriate. But, you know, being grown women and being able to identify and tap into that goddess, you're able to do things, you know, that you weren't willing to do before. And what about you over there, Ms. Vita? You got anything going on? I know you got a lot of things in the works. It's going to be exciting to announce for the next year.
For some friends, but they didn't send me the deets. But so, you know, if you're looking for New Year's stuff, I'll just say this. They're putting on New Year's events.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's going to be coming up, so we can share that. Yes.
Stay tuned.
We can share that. We're going to be sharing some great things.
The cannabis community.
Yes. We're also going to be sharing some great things, you know, that Vita's going to be venturing into for next year. That's going to be helping the community, you know, helping her as well step into her purpose even deeper than what she is currently in the industry.
I'm like getting balls deep into my purpose right now.
Yes,
like,
she is.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
That is-
I can
that
attest to
is-
it. In the last week or so, I'm like, what you doing, girl? Okay, well, damn, you trying to do everything in one. Okay, I feel you. You know, and just trying to be supportive as I can.
Let's
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to stay ready.
Yeah,
So.
right. Stay ready so you ain't got to get
I
ready.
was born ready. I've been waiting. I'm
It's
ready.
that time.
Put me in,
Right.
It's that
coach.
time. I like that. I like that.
Right.
Well, I have an event coming up tomorrow at Cloud9. That is from 3 to 6 p.m. I'm going to be doing some brand education with Lola, who is a new client, or, you know, I'm a new, you know, consultant for them, however you want to, you know, talk about it. If you guys don't know about Lola, I will be bringing in some product in the next few weeks, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about it. Today, though, I did want to talk about really quickly before I bounce out. And like I said, I'm going to be at Cloud9 really quickly once again tomorrow, which is going to be November the 14th. And that's from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So
Nice.
what Vita has, what I provided to her is Dom Pen. Dom Pen has been known for their vaporizer pens. I also do brand education for them. I love them. I was definitely against us, you know, coming with carts. Now we have carts that are fire. So she has our dessert lime, if I'm not mistaken.
It's tasty.
Yes, it's a very, very good, very potent cart. So you guys can find that at a bunch of locations here, any of the Colas locations in Sacramento. You'll be able to find those, or you can hit me up on social media. You can hit me up at the Mary Jane Maven or at Menage with the Mary Jane Maven. It's a couple different ways. Or at the Colors of Cannabis. You might be following me on one of the three, on all three. DM me on all of them if you feel like it. I want to go ahead and give our guests, who once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
This is a great conversation.
Thank you guys for
I definitely would like to have you back as we
inviting
delve
me.
more into, you know, sexuality and cannabis and having that conversation. Thank you for being so honest and, you know, just deep within your truth. I love that. That's exactly what we need. So I want to thank you for coming. Go ahead and allow you to give your Instagram once more so people can follow you.
Yes, you can follow my brand. It's Girl24. That's Girl20, the number 4. And then you can find me, Imone Dior.
Beautiful. And of course, you guys go ahead and give your info once again for the people.
Oh yeah, follow me, Lecieb, so Lecieb. It's my Instagram handle, but also follow my business page too. So that's at blazed_916. So make sure you guys follow both of those.
All right.
Hey, and you know me.
Too
sexy.
Ms. Vita, giving you life.
But
giving
if
you
you
life.
have something, I don't really like people in my DMs. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, she do.
So
Don't be
no,
lying.
no,
I'm
she's
kidding.
like, no, don't
But
even slide
yeah,
in there. I ain't with that.
She wants you
But
to,
if you have something
she wants you to dive,
important,
not slide.
I would like to hit me on my email.
All
So
right.
that's Shawnee Too Sexy, CHANITWOSEXY.
Look at her keeping it all professional. Professional right there. I like that. I like that. So
It's about
I would
business.
love if all of you would do me just a huge favor and make sure that you know, Go on Spotify, iTunes, especially like, subscribe, comment on all platforms, but, our YouTube as well. Listen to us in your car, but then when you're chilling, go ahead and turn us on and look at these beautiful queens. Get your life by that. I do want to thank you so much once again for joining us. This has been a great episode. Thank you for joining us for our Women's Cannabis Wednesday. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Deuces.